Hey, what's up guys? I hope you're doing fantastic. Today, I'm gonna show you how to change the feel of the band and the vibe of the room in just one note. So I wanna share a personal story with you today, but before I get started, I just wanna demonstrate something with you. So if you're scrolling down through YouTube or whatever media you're looking at for videos, and you see some guy playing a disco groove like this, you're probably gonna not even turn the volume on and go down to the next video, and then you see a guy playing this. Now, I know I added more fills and more notes there, but because of the energy and the technique I was using, I felt a lot better, and I felt like I needed to add more stuff because the groove was just pumping, pumping, pumping. Now, that first guy that you clicked on that was playing with an attitude like that, he could be playing for 40 years and knows everything, and knows all the drum books out there and knows all these grooves. But his feel wasn't right, and he wasn't into it. His vibe wasn't into it. His passion wasn't there. But then you flip on to the next video, and this guy is only been playing for 6 months, but he only knows one groove, but he knows that groove very, very well. He can breathe that groove. He can feel that groove like his heartbeat. So he puts his passion into it and plays the technique. He played that over and over and over and over and over again, practicing that time and time again, because it's the only groove he knows, and he took special care of that. So the lesson here, there's a couple lessons here, is it's not always about what you know, it's about how you play it and how it feels. You could be the smartest person in the world, but if you don't apply it the right way, it doesn't matter. All right, now I want to share a personal story with you. When I was growing up as a young drummer, I wanted to create this vibe, and I wanted to play a certain style, and I knew exactly what direction I was headed in. I knew what I liked, and I didn't really want to compromise on that. So I told myself I would never go and sell myself out and play disco music or country music. There's nothing wrong with that music. I just didn't want to play it. And I thought, you know, I'll never play that. I'm never going to play that stuff. So I started following the bands and following the style that I wanted to play, and it was really hard to play original creative music. And we were playing at these music festivals, getting barely $100 a show, which barely paid for the gas and you know, everything, all the expenses, the food and everything else for the day. So it was basically a free time to play. So then I got this call one day, probably about 10 years ago, and it was for a band, and the band said, hey, we're getting paid $200 to $300 a show, and we play twice a week most of the times. Would you like to try to audition for the band? And I'm like, heck yeah, I don't care what we're playing. I'm gonna play for $200 to $300 a week. So here's the first lesson. I'm chasing that money. That money is exciting, right? So, and I'm playing better venues like the casinos and weddings and corporate events, and you know, it's a change of pace. So I wanted to try this. So I joined the band, I made the audition, and about 6 months in to playing this music, the joy of the money kind of left. So it doesn't really matter how much money, you can't chase money if your passion isn't into it. So that money kind of went away, and I got comfortable making that money for gigs, and my playing started suffering. So now here I am at a gig playing this music, and I didn't even know that I was doing this. But I'm at the gig and I'm playing grooves like this. Okay, and what I noticed, this is a true story, what I noticed is I look over I see the bass player sitting on his amp. He's watching a football game on his phone, really not into the music. And I look over at the guitar player. He's playing, but he's just standing there. He's not really moving his legs at all or getting into it. I look out at the crowd. I see people dancing, but they're probably dancing because they're familiar with the song and they know the lyrics, kind of like karaoke. People get into it. The guy could be horrible, but people know the songs and they start singing along, and it's a familiar thing. So I didn't feel like the people in the crowd were dancing because of the vibe of the band. So we started videotaping a couple shows, and I went back and I reviewed those videos. It's always good to tape yourself and look back at yourself playing and listen as a spectator. So I was looking back at these videos and I see my energy and I'm like, oh no, this is not good. I'm a professional musician. So I made a decision. Either I had to quit the band and go follow some other direction, or I needed to get my head in the game and start figuring out how I can enjoy this type of music. All right, so today I'm going to share a valuable tip of what you can do in any style of music to start making the vibe change, to start bringing the energy up. And you can also do this reversed and bring the energy down. But we need to be professionals and we need to be able to perform this stuff and internalize it like we're dancing with the drums. Don't just play your instrument. We need to learn how to dance with our instrument. So the first tip is I'm going to study the pulse. So if the pulse is here, first I'm going to internalize that in my neck, get my head going. Okay, now you see an interesting thing going on here. I have two strokes. I have a down and an up, down and an up. Well, now I can start feeling the time in between that pulse, like the eighth note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so I'm starting to feel that time in between the quarter note. My shoulders are starting to dance with 16th notes or 8th notes. Okay, that's the first thing, getting that feel in your body, get that heartbeat, okay? Get that heartbeat going. That's why everybody loves 4 on the floor. If you look at all the music today in the pop genres and the disco stuff, all that 4 on the floor, it's like the heartbeat. Everybody wants to hear that pumping through their body, right? That's what gets people up and moving. All right, the second thing we want to do is look at our technique. How are we playing? Are we just downstroking and playing one stroke like this? Well, we know the Muller technique, we know some French grip stuff, we know some finger stuff, so we can involve that into our playing. So instead of just counting the quarter note or the eighth note, now we can feel the backstroke in between the time. So this is basically the Muller technique here with that stroke. So now I can play, let's try this exercise. Let's play quarter notes accented. So when we come down with the Muller stroke, we're going to accent with the shoulder of the stick. And when we come up, we're going to drop that stick as we swing again. So we got that going on. Always have that quarter note prominent so you can feel where that pulse is for now. So I'm going to try just a straight eighth note groove and see how that feels with that dancing motion of the Muller. Okay, you notice both of my hands were doing the Muller. When I came down for 2 and 4, I was doing the Muller. I call this the bird, where you got that bird wing kind of effect going on. So we want that whole motion. Now my body's into it. I can sway into the notes and start dancing with my drums. So we just came up with one dance move that we can use. All right, so now continuing on with this story, I started really getting my head in, listening to all different styles of this style of music, and I started trying to play along with new technique, with new body motions, and before you know it, my energy felt better, and I started getting into it, seeing what I can play with fills and things like that within this music. So now I go back to the gig, and I start playing the same groove like this. All right, it wasn't much movement there, but there was some. My energy was different. The whole song sounded like a different song. Well, here's a true story. I looked over, I saw the bass player not even looking at his phone. Now he is standing up, looking over at the drums, shaking his head, and he's feeling that same pulse that I'm feeling. I look over at the guitar player is starting to tap his leg and get that pulse I was talking about with his shoulders and his neck. I look out to the audience and I see the dance floor is full, and I see them moving harder in their dance moves, and I realize now that they are dancing to the vibe of the band and not because the song is familiar. So isn't that amazing? That's why I love playing drums, because we are the heartbeat and we can change the vibe of the whole entire room with our instrument. It's up to us. It's up to us, people, to make this music sound good and feel good. So get your head in the game, be professional, look at your technique, look at your dance moves, and start dancing with your drums instead of playing them. All right, I hope you got some tips out of this and you become a better player and start feeling your instrument in a different way. All right, practice this stuff and I'll see you next time.